So there is something rotten happening in the heart of mainstream right-wing political talking points. And that is the emergence and the normalization of anti-vaccine talking points. It is becoming huge. Absolutely, absolutely huge. And for those who are actually paying attention to vaccines and specifically to anti-vax talking points, it's easy to see. It's very, very easy to see. Unfortunately, a huge chunk of our country and, well, around the world aren't necessarily as well versed with how they manipulate the talking points, how they change and move the goalposts so that they can continue to espouse these things that are actually incredibly dangerous. So I thought today we would take a quick little look and see if we can identify some of the more troubling aspects of this. First and foremost, Senator Durbin called out Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson for being anti-vax cranks, and we're going to look at their reactions to it. So, yeah, here we go.
And do Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Durbin give a darn about the state's jobs crisis? The data there is enraging. According to Illinois policy, 64% remained unemployed in May, 19% left the labor force altogether. The pro-COVID lunacy, the shutdown lunacy of Illinois.
Pro-COVID lunacy. Pro-COVID lunacy. I'm pretty sure it's anti-COVID if you're trying to do shutdowns to save lives. But I mean, that's just me. But why is she talking about this? Because
the elected officials there, they have them tied for 8th highest unemployment rate in the country. And Illinois' crown jewel of Chicago boasts among the highest crime rates in America. You've seen what happened.
Yeah, the crime rates skyrocketed from what it was the past year because people aren't in lockdown anymore. That just seems completely rational and understandable to me, but, you know, what do I know?
Over the weekend. But Durbin doesn't want to attack any of those problems. Nah. Today, this valiant defender of democracy instead focused a floor speech on attacking Tucker and me.
I like how they have to use John Oliver style bad Photoshop images in their derisive defense of themselves.
There are two hosts of programs on Fox Primetime that can only be characterized as anti-vax quacks.
Yeah.
I'm referring, of course, to Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham.
Yep.
They have been spreading what I consider to be irresponsible information about vaccines across America and about the effort of this nation to deal with them.
Damn right.
If there are things that can remove you from the air for being said on a program, I certainly hope that they will caution, the management of the station will caution Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham.
I couldn't agree with him more. I mean, like this kind of attitude, this kind of anti-vax bullshit gets people killed. We know it does. We've seen it happen. Over 80 children died in Samoa because of fucking Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Like you can see the effects. You can see measles coming back because of the push for anti-vaccine propaganda.
What is his name? DeBourbon? It's not a station, by the way. It's a network, Grandpa. All right, first off, none of this is about the vaccine, okay? This is all about suppressing speech ahead of next year's midterms.
I see. Okay. So it really has nothing to do with the actual science or saving lives or anything like that. It's an attack on your free speech. Got it.
Now, this windbag has been in Washington for almost 40 years. He was first elected to Congress when I was a college freshman. That was a
So what? What does that have to do with anything?
long time ago. Now, what does he have to show for it all those years? Does he have a state that's better run, better off than his red state counterparts? No, and no.
So?
Durbin, like the rest of the anti-Democrats, desires total control over the information flow to you, the voters.
No. That's not really how that works. First of all, it's very strange that rather than address the concern that maybe she is promoting, straight up denialism or dangerous concepts that might get very gullible, vulnerable people dead. she's just going to try and like hit the dude on his accomplishments. And I mean, I'm sorry, like I'm gonna have to be totally real with you guys here. A politician not getting a whole lot done. That's almost all of them. But anyway, I digress.
No contrary views allowed, especially when those views are backed up by actual facts and data. I don't have to remind you, I don't think, that this show has been at the forefront of all things COVID since the early days of the pandemic.
Yeah, okay. Being at the forefront of the biggest news story of the decade. Wow, what do you want, a fucking cookie? Do you want a prize for that? Doesn't mean what you're saying is accurate or true. And there are no citations that are directly given, like for these talking news political pundits. So I'm sorry. No, this makes no sense.
And our medical experts actually are experts. They deserve to be called experts.
I'd have to look at who exactly she's referring to, but yeah. So that's one. Next up here we have Tucker. Tucker got big mad about this too. This one is even more fun.
The country further along partisan lines, because that helps him, and tar anyone who wants more information about a specific drug as a lunatic who's against all vaccines.
Now, I really do want to point this out too. We've been hearing this from anti-vaxxers for a very long time. We just want more information. We're just asking questions. We're just posing theoreticals. We're just talking, okay? And you can't stop us from talking because of free speech. True, but that doesn't mean necessarily that you get the privilege of a fucking platform to do it on either. It means that the government cannot force you to not say something. That's it. That's totally it.
Watch.
There are two hosts of programs on Fox Primetime that can only be characterized as anti-vax quacks.
I know we already heard that, but it feels so good to hear it again. I'm sorry, but he's right.
I'm referring, of course, to Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham. They have been spreading what I consider to be irresponsible information about vaccines across America and about the effort of this nation to deal with them.
Yeah.
Spreading irresponsible information. Now, notice what he didn't say. Durbin did not accuse us of spreading false information. He did not.
Aha! Got him. Got him. Owned with facts and logic, Tucker Shapiro. There's also something to be said about very carefully cultivating your speech so that you are not possibly committing libel or slander or whatever. Fuck it. But yeah, okay. Listen to this fucking Muppet.
Did not accuse us of being factually wrong. We haven't been. Nor are we against vaccines. Of course, very few Americans are against vaccines. Virtually every American has had a ton of vaccines and was expecting to take this one.
Yeah, Andrew Wakefield notoriously said, look, we are not against vaccine. Wow, it's like a British Bernie Sanders. We're not against vaccines. Instead, we just want them to do the single-dose measles instead of the MMR. By the way, don't pay attention that I'm making a competing product and already have it patented, and I'm going to make millions and millions of dollars if I can convince everybody of this. He was not anti-vax. Andrew Wakefield was not anti-vax. He is now, because that's where the grift led. So you don't have to come out and say, like, booga, 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 vaccines don't work for you to be anti-vax. All you have to do is be promoting something that is going to go counter to the vaccine schedule that can then put people at risk. That's how that fucking works.
But when you refuse to answer basic questions about the vaccine, and when you dodge them with partisan talking points like that, you make people nervous. Americans have a right to have basic questions answered before they submit to taking a medicine. That is their right. But Durbin and hacks like Fauci persist in pretending that anyone who has questions is somehow a right-wing ideologue. And
Okay. Hang on. I expect that pretty much anybody on the right-wing political aisle is going to assume that Anthony Fauci is a hack because they always go back to the same old tired talking points over and over and over and over and over again. Fine, whatever. That's just something that Tucker's going to do. Sure. The main problem with this, though, is that he's taking a science argument and he is instead conflating it with a political argument. What this effectively does, and because Tucker Carlson, he is the number one political commentator in the fucking world right now. Well, I don't know about that. In the country, at the very least. More people watch Tucker Carlson than literally anybody else. He, probably more than anybody else, probably even more than most politicians, crafts carefully the right-wing position. He does. He does. He's more influential. He reaches more people's homes every single night than any other politician out there. He has the power to craft it. He is now positioning his viewers and the massive influence that he wields into vaccine questioning, which is anti-vax soft anti-vax, anti-vax light. That's exactly what he's doing.
And that's a lie. It's a provable lie. Take a look at the numbers. These are from the government's own accounting. It turns out that it's African Americans, those are the Democratic Party's most faithful voters, who are still the most hesitant to getting vaccinated. That's not an attack, it's just an observation. According to the CDC, the period of December 14th to December 2020 to July 12th of this year brings us a total of 26% of African Americans who've gotten one dose of COVID. Only 23.7% are, quote, fully vaccinated. Those are the lowest number recorded for any racial or ethnic group tracked by the CDC.
Why in the world are what? Wait, hang on. It is so, holy shit. He said that it's mostly Democrats, and rather than show data on Democrats, he shows data on the vaccination rates of African Americans. First of all, that is very assuming that all African Americans are going to vote Democrat. That also removes the largest percentage of racial demographics in the entire country, which you're not citing for some reason. Maybe he will here in a minute in the video. We'll check it out. But African Americans have way more reason to be distrustful of mainstream medicine than anybody else. I mean, we could cite all of the examples of why historically they might be a bit hesitant, but that's just really, really weaselly manipulation of the fucking data and changing the talking point to support what you're trying to say.
By a significant margin. Now, we don't judge.
Is this soft racism? I mean, I don't know. Let's see if he brings up any of the other demographics, but why he decided to just start randomly bringing race into it, that is kind of fucking weird.
Anybody for taking or refusing to take the vaccine. Medical choices are by definition personal choices. They are not choices that politicians get to make for you. And you should never be forced to take a medicine you don't want, period. That used to be a
Yet nobody is being forced to take the vaccine. Nobody is being forced to take the vaccine. But Tucker is not going to make that distinction because Tucker wants you to be afraid.
An observation. In fact, many of the people like Dick Durbin who are attacking anyone who has questions as partisan or racist are the very same people who told us for decades they were very upset about the Tuskegee syphilis experiments. And they
Wait. So he's bringing up the Tuskegee. Yeah, okay, fine. But Durbin wasn't talking about race. He was talking about how you're an anti-vaxxer. That's it.
Right to be upset about those experiments. Now they're telling us that anyone who resists mandatory vaccination is a white supremacist. This is the talking point.
What? What? Where? Who said that?
Of the moment. You know that because it was just on MSNBC from their in-house doctor. Watch.
Okay, I got to see this.
I don't have any tolerance for the anti-vaxxer movement. And I don't have any tolerance for politicians who befriend, who cozy up to, or become allies of that movement. I actually see that as another example of the proliferation of white supremacy, because in particular, they are targeting communities of color, and they are targeting the historical injustices, the atrocities that.
Yeah. No. She's absolutely right. She's absolutely fucking right. Absolutely right. Del Bigtree, a bunch of other fucking people were running around going to places like fucking Harlem, like Compton, going to traditionally, historically black neighborhoods, going to their fucking churches, showing them the movie Vaxxed, and perpetuating this constant fear that the government is going to be experimenting on you with vaccines. And that fear is linked to those things that happened to their people in the past. This is absolutely fucking true. This is absolutely true. Now, is anti-vax like a grand conspiracy and part of white supremacy? Probably not. But like her understanding that connection and understanding how somebody could be preying upon the fears. Like, can that there have a racialized component to that? Yes. Does this have anything to do with Durbin? No. Does this have anything to do with actually defending himself against claims of anti-vax? No. This is all this is noise. This is noise for your brain so you don't see, like, what he's doing and how he's clouding the issue.
That communities of color have experienced as a way to play on their vulnerabilities.
Imagine someone who would say something so provably untrue, factually untrue, so irresponsible and so divisive, having a medical license in this country. That person does. Something's very wrong with their system. Very.
What the fuck? What I love, dude, my pause game is so good. Look at this fucking dumb shit. I swear to God, Tucker he's a Fraggle. He's a fucking Fraggle.
Very wrong. She's claiming that African Americans aren't taking the vaccine because white supremacists have asked questions about the vaccine.
No. She is saying that anti-vaxxers have done so, and anti-vaxxers might be contributing to the notions of white supremacy by utilizing a racialized fear. Does this mean that this is organized with the full intent of white supremacy, or that the people are even very conscious of it? Because I doubt that they are. I doubt that most of them are at all, because I do know quite a few very vocal black anti-vaxxers that help participate in that type of thing. Does that possibly lend towards an overarching racialized problem? Sure, why not?
That's lunacy, of course. A reporter at CNN recently spoke to someone who had another explanation for it. It turns out that there are people out there, maybe because of doctors like the ones you just saw, who no longer believe the medical experts on cable news anymore. Watch.
Boy, okay. I can't wait to see this one. I swear, man.
Do you plan to get vaccinated?
No time soon.
21-year-old Destiny Britt says she's given the COVID-19 vaccine a lot of thought.
Don't take it as when people don't want to take the vaccine as being rebellious. Listen to understand and be compassionate and sympathize of the history of black people, black and brown people in the medical industry.
So Tucker himself in this clip already talked about how like things like the Tuskegee experiment, like it makes it totally understandable why some people might be hesitant. And I agree. It is totally understandable. But watch, she's gonna 180 on this shit because she's gonna have some kind of connection to this other talking point.
A native is skeptical of the vaccines, thanks in large part due to the legacy of the unethical Tuskegee study in which black men with syphilis were deliberately not treated.
And the more that it's a push for me to go get vaccinated, it makes me not want it even more.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. The more that it's a push for me to get vaccinated, the more it makes me not want to get it even more. And of course, that makes sense. If the vaccine is so great, wouldn't it sell itself? There'd be no...
What the fuck? Oh my fucking God. Do you know why we want you to get vaccinated? So that people stop dying. That's why. That's why. We want you to get vaccinated because... Nearly all COVID deaths in U.S. are now among unvaccinated. COVID-19 deaths in the U.S. now are in people who aren't vaccinated, nearly all, a staggering demonstration of how effective the shots have been, and an indication that deaths per day, now down to under 300, could be practically zero if everyone eligible got the vaccine. I mean, how much more do you need? How much more do you need?
No reason to force people to take it, but people are being forced to take it. And it's interesting that
Who? Where? Nobody is being forced to take a vaccine. That is not happening. I'm sorry. You're full of shit.
very people who are trying to force us are the same ones who lectured us for decades about my body, my choice. They're leading the way. The layers of irony here are almost inexhaustible. The former head of Planned Parenthood, who's a truly irresponsible person called Lena Wen, just went on television to explain how to force millions of Americans to take the drug. It's easy, she said. Just make their lives as miserable as possible until they comply.
Oh boy, hang on. This is going to be great. So it comes down to the same thing of like, is the vaccine going to be compulsory? Is it just going to be encouraged? You know, that's really what it comes down to.
It needs to be hard for people to remain unvaccinated. Right now, it's kind of the opposite. It's fine. I mean, it's easy if you're unvaccinated. You can do everything you want to do anyway. But at some point, these mandates by workplaces, by schools, I think it will be important to say, hey, you can opt out. But if you want to opt out, you have to sign these forms. You have to get twice weekly testing.
Yeah.
Basically, we need to make getting vaccinated the easy choice. That is what it's going to take for us to actually end the pandemic.
Yeah, that sounds totally reasonable. If for some reason people are not getting vaccinated when really they should, and there's no reason why they shouldn't, compelling them is a really good idea. And also limiting certain access to things like schools, where, as everybody knows who has a kid, is a disease factory. That's also just being responsible.
You wonder the damage that this is doing to the credibility of the medical establishment. Most Americans grew up believing in science, believing their doctors. They had every reason to. We led the world in science. Our healthcare was the best in the world. Expensive, granted, but very effective. The outcomes were remarkable.
Okay, the reason why we are having any continual degradation of our trust in our medical industry is because of people like Tucker fucking Carlson. That's why. People like Brett fucking Weinstein, jackasses that are running around, running their fucking mouths and just asking questions. That's why.
Compared to any other place on the planet. That was a system, like all systems, that worked on trust. You trusted what the medical authorities said. But when they start talking like that, when they start making statements that have no logic, no clear medical justification, they're transparently political, in that case, clearly illegal.
There's nothing illegal about what she was talking about. Nothing illegal at all. No. And it's not political, because again, you are entirely trying to break it down to some sort of partisan thing, which is really interesting because their position is we want people not to die. And if that's the one side of the political equation, that's basically you admitting that you just want people to die. Like, what the fuck, man?
When they start talking about punishing Americans who don't want to do their will, follow instructions they refuse to explain, policies that they will not account for using data, and instead throw talking points at you and bumper stickers and then attacking you as immoral, who's going to believe them ever again?
Yeah.
The damage they are doing to our system is profound.
It's so amazing because he has yet to actually defend any of his views on anti-vax. Instead, he's just regurgitating them over and over, louder and louder. He's just doubling down. All of this is anti-vax talking points. This is all the same shit that I have been watching and paying attention to for years. Things that have been used as basically political, as like rhetoric for decades now. I mean, this is right out of the playbook, and now it's on mainstream television on the biggest political show in the fucking country, and it's coming from this goddamn Muppet's fucking mouth. This is insanity.
And you'd think maybe people on the other side would stand up for Americans. The Republican Party, anyone? Some are. Most aren't. And mediocrities like Asa Hutchinson, who pretends to be governor of Arkansas, are in fact joining in, promoting it. Adam Kinzinger.
Wow. So now you're going to go after the Republicans. Keep in mind, this guy helps craft everything about the right wing and Republicans. He's now going to say that there are certain Republicans who are not real Republicans because they're pro-vaccine and pro-not people dying.
A Republican congressman from the state of Illinois just demanded that every American take the coronavirus vaccine. He said it on national television. Watch this.
This is outrage politics that is being played by my party, and it's going to get Americans killed. We are on our party has been hijacked. My party has been hijacked. It is on its way to the ground, and for some people, it's a fun ride, right? We can put out this outrageous stuff on Twitter.
This dude is based as fuck. Who is this guy? This is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm getting all these retweets, and everybody knows me. I'm famous, but this plane is going to crash into the ground. I call on Leader McCarthy. I call on every leader in the Republican Party to stand up, say get vaccinated, and to call out these garbage politicians, these absolute clown politicians playing on your vaccine fears.
Yes, based as fuck, dude. Based as fuck. Please tell me he doesn't have like some really stupid, shitty beliefs in something else, so I'm not gonna like him anymore. But for now, Kitzinger is a fucking MVP right now, all right? I like you, buddy. I like you. That's based as fuck. It takes balls to do it.
For their own selfish gain.
Now, Adam Kinzinger, in his defense, has a low IQ and can't be held fully responsible for most of the things that he says. But neither he nor anyone...
Tucker Carlson calling anybody low IQ is so adorable. Holy fuck.
Anyone else who's making that case has answered a very simple question. Why should people who have recovered from COVID-19, and there are millions of them in this country, who are immune to the virus, why should they be forced to get the vaccine? What's the answer?
Nobody's being forced to take the vaccine. Nobody's being forced to take the vaccine, Tucker. Hasn't happened yet. Isn't going to happen. Sorry.
What is the harm rate from the vaccine? Why can't we ask?
What is the harm rate from the vaccine? It's literally talked about every fucking day. We have that data. It's not being hidden. It's very, very transparent. But that's again, classic anti-vax talking point. How can we really know how dangerous it is? He just Wakefielded. He just fucking Wakefielded.
What's the answer? When you attack people rather than answer their questions, they don't trust you anymore. And they don't trust the drugs that you say they must take. And
I'm
that's
going
a
crazy,
shame.
dude. This
We're
is
not
fucking
attacking
nuts.
the vaccine, never have. We don't judge anyone who takes it. And we never will.
There are definitely some people who won't even hang out with vaccinated people because they think that it makes them sick. There was somebody recently, I wonder if I can find it really quick, won't associate with vaccinated because she missed her period. I gotta see if I can find this. Okay, it's actually been around quite a bit that there's the concept of like the vaccine might disrupt the menstrual cycle. But there was just something on like Twitter this morning where this one lady was like, I hung out with my vaccinated friend and I missed my period. So it must be like her vaccine must be interfering my hoo-ha, my cookie schedule, you know, like what the...
We judge people like that. And by the way, where are they? Where are those Republicans when they learn that the Biden administration has decided they can police your text messages, that the DNC is in charge of what you text to other Americans?
What?
There's almost no resistance to it in Washington. And that means it's likely to get worse.
Okay, well, so no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. All right, anyway, long story short, Tucker Carlson is an anti-vaxxer, the most powerful, popular political pundit in the entire country is an anti-vaxxer. So, yep. Welcome to hell, world.